Hey everyone, welcome to Geek Rant. It's Greg here again on the channel with Toby, and today we're going to be talking about episode 7 of the House of the Dragon. But before we start, just a reminder to press the subscribe and the bell to get alerts. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. We're going to be talking about episode 7 of the House of the Dragon, which was called Driftmark, which is the name of the Velaryon home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where they had the funeral.
Where they had the funeral, exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, yeah. I mean that's it's quite a good chunk of the first bit, isn't it? The funeral itself.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. It was nicely done. So we obviously at the end of the last episode was Lyanna's was dying from childbirth and got flamed by her own dragon Vhagar.
Yeah.
Quite a touching moment, wasn't it? But yeah, she's so obviously they're having a funeral to say goodbye.
Yeah, and they had this amazing stone coffin on this ledge, which they kind of, they've got ropes they pull, and it gradually gets further out and then drops into that lagoon at the foot of the port there, the bay. And you can see as it goes down, there are other stone coffins in the water. I thought that was really nice.
Does it just stay there, or is it?
Yeah, no, it just stays there. I think I just gather up. Eventually, there's a big stack coming out of the water.
Yeah,
but I thought that was good. It seems to go quite far, so I quite like that idea.
Yeah, well, the Targaryens, they end up flaming. Dragons end up burning the bodies, don't they?
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas the Velaryons send them out to sea. Yeah, so yeah, that was quite good. I mean, we obviously saw all the characters there in this part.
Yeah, they've all come together for the funeral, and now they have the party afterwards, if you like.
Yeah, but I mean, a few things I sort of noted from the funeral. Obviously, when the brother is, or the uncle's giving a sermon, he's talking about not diluting down the family, and the blood runs thick, and they're all looking at Leonor's children, and sort of commenting on that, and you also see Daemon sort of give a snigger, don't you, at that point, which is kind of very Daemon Targaryen sort of approach to things.
Yeah, he's always hanging around, isn't he, on the edge of things, just looking on and smiling and occasionally laughing. He's super creepy in this episode, I reckon. He's reached new heights of creepiness.
A little bit. Definitely. Obviously, Otto's back as the Hand. That did actually quite surprise me. I know that
me too.
I know that he's the Queen's father, but I kind of thought they'd burnt bridges there.
They did.
Viserys didn't trust him, really. He was accusing him of trying to put his own agenda forward.
I think
against him.
Yeah, it was interesting. I thought the same, but then I also thought, well, there's been over 10 years past.
Yeah.
So within that time, Viserys, he may well, kind of forgiven him, but also he's got less grip on the throne, isn't he?
That's true.
And Alicent has more influence, especially with these change of circumstances and the Strongs dying. So she's definitely. There might not have been much Viserys could have done about it in the end, because I don't actually think he partakes in much of what goes on in his kingdom anymore.
Yeah, he's seeming very frail, isn't he? He seems to be just gripping onto life at the moment.
Yeah.
He's frustrated by all the family sort of antics, isn't he? We see that obviously a bit later on with the kids and that.
Yeah.
But
wow,
I think you're right. And he probably thought also Otto's a good strategist and someone that had helped, sort of form a lot of his opinion in the past. So maybe better the devil you know than bringing someone else in who could completely rock the boat.
and you could argue that he hasn't always made the best political decisions.
No.
He chooses ignorance fairly frequently, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And this may not see that he's invited another enemy into his home.
He's quite a fair man, though, isn't he? He's always tried to be fair, but that's his greatest weakness, isn't it? In this
they take advantage of it.
Yeah. But I mean that was also Viserys was also sort of offered an olive branch to Daemon, didn't he? Sort of tried to say, come back, be part of the family, try and get them together.
Yeah.
I think that was interesting, and Daemon wasn't so sure, was he? He's a very uncertain character at the moment, isn't he, Daemon? At that point,
yes,
he wanted to stay away. He didn't want to be part of the whole king and the entourage, all that goes with that. He was trying to sort of stick away from that a bit, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think for him, staying away is just a temporary blip. I think he's just waiting for the powers to shift a bit. And of course, we see that happen towards the end of this episode as Rhaenyra, she decides to make a decision, doesn't she?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, obviously Rhaenyra is there. She's got her kids with her. She's feeling the pressure, isn't she?
Yeah.
Of all the eyes looking at them.
Not surprisingly.
Thinking they're all bastards.
maybe she should have just shaved their heads from the beginning and kept it really short.
Yeah.
I don't know, but the way that the hair's it's shaped, it's quite obvious, isn't it? And they stand out like a sore thumb. And then we get this scene, don't we, at the after party where she's looking across at Alicent, and you can see that the parties are divided, and she's very much on her own with the boys, isn't she? On the left hand side. It's an interesting. It's what I like about this show is they'll throw all the players together in one space, and you get these really intense scenes.
You do.
There's a couple. There's a couple in this episode.
Absolutely. I mean, it was quite tense at the funeral part, wasn't it? Some definite comments made, weren't there? Even Otto tried to sort of say something to Daemon, didn't he? And he was kind of like
Leonor's pointed out, isn't he? He's having a close relationship with his knight. And I just think it just highlights it's just commenting on people's relationships in very sort of subtle ways.
And also Leonor's taken the death of his sister badly, hasn't he? He's taken that very
grieving
hard. He's quite and Corlys was like, get him out the water.
Get your ward out of there.
So he was, but I quite like seeing Corlys again, because I quite liked his
patron. Award.
I quite like seeing him back in.
But he's very grand, isn't he?
Yeah, they didn't give him much to do.
No.
He has a scene with his wife, and they argue about which way to go with things now. She accuses him of being too ambitious and trying to get the throne and be connected with the throne.
Push his son forward. When obviously he's the weak link. And she opts for the daughter.
Well,
the grandchildren,
the granddaughter.
The granddaughter.
Saying that we should make her the heir. So which is interesting.
That is interesting. But I think it makes what happens later a bit more interesting. It gives it a bit more depth.
Well, she also said about the fact that Leonor's children weren't his, so there's no real future there. That's just an.
And he says an interesting line that history doesn't remember
blood.
It remembers
the
name.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is very true, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. But there's friction. There's friction all over, isn't there? Everyone seems to be.
It's pretty tense.
I think that against each other.
And this episode is designed for that very purpose, in the sense it's building up the tension to the civil war. That's the war that's going to happen.
Just hope we don't run out of episodes before they really get into the war.
I know. There's not that many left, are there?
Obviously, we've done that. We had the funeral, and then it's nighttime, and we see out on the beach. Now, this was something we talked about last week, wasn't it? And we said, who's going to get that dragon? Who's going to be part of the dragon? And we were right, weren't we? We said Aemond, the second son of Alicent would claim that, and he does, and he goes down to the beach, and he finds Rhaegar there, and he sort of goes to him, doesn't he, and commands him and gets on his back. And I mean, that is one huge dragon, isn't it? That
it is. It's got this big sort of flopping gullet that comes along the bottom of its head. It's really massive, and
he looked so tiny.
He did, didn't he? But I thought the actor played it really well.
Yes,
Leo Ashton, who plays Aemon, I thought he did it really well. He's very determined, yet has this kind of he's got this somber element to him. He plays it well, and I thought that his character, he was a forgiving type character, less headstrong and less cruel.
Right.
But I think this process shows that he will step on anybody to make sure he keeps gets a dragon. He's determined.
He is.
Because he gets his dragon, doesn't he? And then he returns, because obviously everybody can see, because this massive fuck off dragon has been flying around the castle.
Daemon's children are watching, aren't they? They're looking out the window, and they see the dragon getting up and flying off, and they're like, well, what's gone on there? That's why
they come down to see, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and confront him. Aemon turns up all proud of himself, and then there's this quite a fight, isn't there, between the kids? Really, it's quite a showdown.
It was an interesting scene, I think, because the kids fight, and there's blood and there's violence, and Aemon loses an eye, because Jacaerys pulls a knife on him.
Yeah,
and
he'd picked up a rock, hadn't he? He was whacking them with the rock, wasn't he? So he was threatening
to bash the other kid's
that's right
head in, and so it really got out of hand. It got really dirty. There was sand thrown in faces. The girls all joined in. They were punching.
They got punched. He got. I was like, whoa. Yeah, this is really.
I thought it was a risky scene. I thought it was pushing boundaries, because you don't see children fight in such a vicious way.
And also you don't see a lot of women getting girls getting smacked, do you?
Yeah. She got in the face.
He properly punched her one, didn't he?
He did. I know. I was surprised they went that far.
Yeah.
But it captivated me in that moment.
It was shocking, and it was like, whoa, that was interesting.
I think it was a bit too much. I thought that it was just a bit too hard. I thought it was a bit hard edge. Don't get me wrong. I
thought it was Games of Thronesy. I mean, there's been some really brutal things in Games of Thrones.
They have.
They have. And I know he cut his eye, and there was a bit of blood behind his hand, but they didn't they didn't sort of project a load of blood squirting everywhere or that sort of thing. So I think they showed the brutality of it.
The brutality was the thing that I thought was shocking.
Yeah. But it worked, didn't it? Because it was shocking, And then when they all go inside and the guards grab them and bring them back in, and they have this massive showdown in this hall.
The kids turned. Aemon's turned up with a big cut on his eye. So there's going to be, shit's hit the fan. What are they going to do? Who's going to be punished for this?
I know. And poor Viserys is in the middle there. He's trying to sort of ascertain from his kids who, what's happened. They called him a bastard, and they started, and all this sort of thing. Goes round crazy. Aemon blames it on Aegon. Aegon's like, what? Look at them, Dad. What do you? Everybody.
Yeah. Well, he asks Aemon, who's told you that the boys are bastards, you know, because that is the crux of the matter. That's what really triggers the aggression in the fight. And because it was started out about the dragon, but it was basically it was interesting because Aemon looks across at Alicent as if he's going to give his mother up for saying it, but then he turns to his brother, who has a really cunning little line. Everybody knows, you know, everybody's told me. Everybody knows. And even at that point, when everybody looks at him Viserys silently, you know, he still can't accept it.
No, he doesn't want to, does he? He's trying to protect his daughter from the dishonor, and you know, so he says, you know, no one else is to talk of this. You know, we're family. We should all be together and forgive each other. Let's get on.
It's too late for that.
And then Alicent, she ain't having that, is she? She's lost the plot. She lost the plot, and she wants an eye for an eye, literally an eye for an eye.
Yeah.
And she tries to command Kristen to go and get me the eye of. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Now, at this point, I was a little bit, you know, there weren't more people interjecting. It felt a little bit like there was too many bystanders because you had a lot of people standing around watching.
Yeah,
and
well,
not
it's
doing
the Queen,
anything,
isn't it? The Queen
not saying anything.
I know.
Yeah, and the
Queen's
king,
there.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So
true.
you think, you know, that one of the like Corlys would have stepped in maybe and said something,
exactly.
But he didn't, did he?
Otto.
Yeah. Oh no, Otto. I always thought Otto would stand back and let this play out.
Although he did say, you know, don't let it.
Oh, he did.
You know, he did say something.
He
didn't
did say
to
something.
Alicent. Don't let it get you. Your
Drop
anger.
the knife, he says.
Exactly. But she grabs hold of this Velaryon knife and comes
approaches.
And
Rhaenyra jumps in the
gets
way.
hold of her, and says, "Look, seeing who you really are, you know, sort of in her face. She's not really scared of her, and she cuts her arm, doesn't she? She ends up cutting her arm, and she pulls away.
Interesting because before that happens, Daemon just steps in the way of Sir Kristen Cole, doesn't he?
That's right.
Stops him from intervening.
Yes. Yeah.
I thought that was good.
Yeah. So yeah, it's quite a scene, that, isn't it? It's quite heated.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on that we probably missed. Actually, there was, especially as the action started to happen. It was brilliant. There was so many looks and so many views, and they were looking at each other, thinking certain things, and you think they should be interjecting. We're playing out the politics in our head because we've got to this point now where all these characters have been so evolved and developed. That we invested in all these characters, and we know what the situation is, and we're just fascinated to see how it plays out.
Yeah, you know, and I quite liked sort of towards the end of that scene, you could see them forming into two parties, couldn't you? Ready for this is going to be
brilliant directing.
You know, this is going to be where there's Daemon was standing next to Rhaenyra and the kids and so on. It was a really good scene, and it's just lining it up nicely, isn't it? I'm like, come on, let's get into some more. Let's get some more action.
As we've said before, everything that happened there had a reason and a purpose. It was carefully, it's part of the plot, you know, and very brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, the bit I missed a small section out when I was talking about this. Obviously, Rhaenyra, when Aemon is out getting the dragon, you know, we see Rhaenyra, don't we? And Daemon come together and talk about life a little bit. They were. She can tell that Laenor's going to become even more useless, and kind of she wants Daemon. End up sleeping together and
on the beach in some sort of bivouac, you know. It's a very
she wakes up, doesn't she, and he's gone, you know, which is probably a good idea that he goes and doesn't get I wondered if someone was going to see them. I didn't know if Aemond was going to somehow see them.
I don't think they can now, do they? I think they're going to be they come up with a plan, don't they?
Yeah,
they're going to marry and they're going to kill Laenor and kickstart the challenge for the throne.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, this is very much the way it's going to go now, isn't it? So then after that, she's been injured and she's been so. That's when Leonor comes to her, doesn't she?
Right.
And he says, you know, I'm gonna try harder. I'm gonna be the man I thought I was gonna be, and trying. But she can see he's not up to it. He's not not the right guy.
No.
And it's not his fault. It's not his fault. She says he's a good, honourable guy. You know, he loves his kids. Even though they're not his kids. Poor guy. Rhaenyra then goes to Daemon, doesn't he? Doesn't she? And they have a conversation. She says, I want you. I want us to be together.
They're up on the battlements, aren't they? That's right.
Yeah, they're up on the battlements. Yeah, and they're planning, and he says the only way we can marry is if Leonor is dead. You know, if we kill Leonor. She's like,
I thought it was quite cleverly done, actually.
I know. And that's when he goes into creepy mode. They come up with a plan, don't they? He goes into creepy. He approaches the boyfriend, and persuades him to help them.
Yeah.
But it was obvious, really, because there was a bit where they grab this black guy, don't they, and kill him on the on that staircase bit.
Yeah.
So they obviously need a body.
Yeah.
They stage Leonor's death, don't they? Basically.
Yeah.
But give him the ability to get away and live a different life on the other across the sea.
Yeah. And so he's gone. At the end, we see him sailing off with his lover, off to new pastures. You know, and so it's tidying up some loose ends a bit, aren't they? Ready for the final 3 episodes.
Yeah. And obviously we see Rhaenyra and Daemon
get married in a very grim session.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of the binding of the blood or something. You know, it's
they got the same blood. They don't need to bind it, do they?
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah. Well, it's weird because he is her uncle, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he must be a fair bit older than her.
Yeah.
But it's always, well, you know, Aegon the Conqueror had married his sister. Sorry, married his wife.
Yeah.
Was he married his wife? Married his sister to keep the bloodline, you know, pure. This is what they're always talking about. Mainly because it's the dragons don't seem to respond to anyone who's not part of the Targaryen family, do they? Or not got that sort of blood?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. It's something they should maybe go into a bit more detail. I think it's a bit of hearsay, isn't it? Because there should be. I would find it personally interesting if they'd covered a bit more of the lore about that sort of thing within the scripting, not just telling us straight out, but you know, you know, they're willing to say something along the lines of, he doesn't respond to you because you're a bastard or something like that. You know, that sort of language. But so there's obviously some history to it, but they also want to be able to keep their looks, don't they? They want to be able to look the way they do with their white hair.
Yeah, that's very true. So you instantly know that they are Targaryen and part of the ruling family.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So and you know, that's kind of where we left it, wasn't it? I mean, there was a bit after with Alicent and Otto.
Yeah.
You know, he comes in to see her. She thinks he's going to get a total bollocking, doesn't she?
She's going to give him a total bollocking.
Says, "Oh, you must think I'm crazy." They're all saying it. I'm crazy, and I'm, you know, blah blah blah. But he's kind of like, well, yeah, you are, but I've never seen this side of you, and this could mean that we could do it. We could take the throne, you know. So he's now plotting his way in. He's gonna help his daughter.
Yeah.
And she's still got Larys. You know, there wasn't much of the Larys character in this one. Larys Strong.
Yeah.
He just approaches her on the boat near the end, doesn't he, to sort of say, you know, if you need my help, I'm here at your beck and call, sort of thing.
So and she's more resolute. She says, you know, there may come a time.
Yeah.
I think that
I'm sure it will happen.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll happen. And I think, I mean, he's super creepy as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
But he does it very effectively.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've got these two strong female leads, haven't we?
Mm,
We
mm,
got it's always going to be about those two fighting it
mm,
out.
mm.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So from there's this you can look back on it, friends in their youth, and
Yeah.
then they get split up by Alicent marrying her father, and
Yeah.
then they sort of drift apart, and family interests, children grow, they have families,
Yeah.
and we're now getting to the point where they're going to be the heads of these two warring factions.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So
absolutely.
it is a lovely arc for the characters to have,
Definitely.
you know,
Definitely. And this is
yeah,
what's so good about this series, isn't it? There is
yeah,
always so much of these character development things coming out and
yeah,
happening.
yeah,
It's really good. You really feel like you're along with it and
yeah,
invested in it. I have to say, there was definitely a few occasions in this episode where I was feeling really tense. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
oh,
Oh,
bloody
me
hell,
too.
and it was really getting me. It's those great feelings that you get from
Yeah,
this sort of show, isn't it?
yeah,
That I think they've mastered well. I thought performance wise, I did like you said earlier, what Aemond, his performance was really good.
yes.
He's becoming a good. I think they
He gets,
are set to
yeah,
replace
they
characters
are,
again,
yeah,
aren't they?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
they are, yeah.
that's
Because
a shame
we
because he's
see it
been
with
really
the kids
good.
growing up. But I think
Yeah,
that scene, that fight,
yeah,
has really set the scene
yeah,
for how those kids are going to interact when
yes.
they're
Oh
adults.
God,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
I think we're
yeah, yeah.
going to draw that information into the next episode. I think it's going to be absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm also intrigued about the girls and their whether they get
Yes.
dragons. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, there's a lot to look forward to with
Mm,
what happens with all those guys and the
mm,
battles
mm.
to come. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. No,
yeah,
absolutely.
you just
We
know you
can.
don't know who's going to trust. You can trust with this as well. There's people
No.
you're unsure of people's loyalties quite often, and
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
we'll see, won't we? It's going to be absolutely fascinating.
That's um. That's very true, isn't it?
Mm,
That they were. You don't know who's good, who's bad. I suppose that's life, isn't it? No one's
yeah,
probably good or bad, if you like. There's all these grey areas, isn't there? They're all just following their own interests. As
yeah.
in what they want to achieve. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
And I think that is taken directly from George R. Martin's writing. That's very
Mm,
gritty. It's very
mm.
grey, and you never know who's going to die.
No,
So
no.
you're always kept on tenterhooks as you watch these shows because of that political wrangling and
Yeah.
the fallibility of so many of the characters. And he works that into it.
There's so much
Yeah,
greater risk, isn't it?
yeah,
Anyone could, when anyone can die, you're then thinking, oh bloody hell, will they? What's going to happen
yeah,
next?
yeah,
So it
yeah,
really does put it out there, which is good. Excellent. Well, thanks for watching with us today. It's been a great series so far. There's only 3 episodes left, unfortunately. This is the only downside of this now, is we've only got 3 episodes
yeah,
left.
yeah,
But we're eager to keep reviewing these and getting
yeah.
a so thanks again for watching. If you'd like to subscribe, that'd be great. If you'd like to like or comment on the videos, uh, give us any views, that'd be brilliant. And we'll see you again next time.